Those of us that have been impacted by the actions and being in close proximity to a narcopath, I think we find it easier to see the bigger picture. I think that we've seen this because the macro and the micro, they're the same. The powers that be currently, I hate saying that because they are in charge currently, are the ones that encourage and enable the bad behavior, the behavior of cluster B personality disordered people, the ones that infect our lives. And this is the kind of stuff that gets you uninvited to Thanksgiving. This is the kind of stuff that 20-something years ago I was trying to alert people that I knew, and I had no idea that the people I was alerting, they were a bunch of narcissists too. So, they maybe it just looks, completely acceptable and normal to them. Like maybe they envied the people that were. As a matter of fact, I know some of them envied or wanted to be the people that were in charge pulling the strings. I don't know really where to start with this. I didn't intend to widen the scope of my discussions from cluster B personality disorders from the people around us in close proximity, but it seems like it's necessary. There's a million people making a million videos every day. There's so many people making content that I'm always happy if you engage with me, okay? And I'm not going anywhere. When I told you I was checking out a society, I'm trying to check out a little bit at a time, not trying to just go dark today. But y'all might want to prepare yourself because I don't see them recovering this time. I know somebody said they were going to miss my, don't worry, I'm not going anywhere. I always said that I would tell you. But anyway, back to our subject, the wider scope of the monsters that are currently in charge that not only enable and facilitate the behavior of the narcissist, they encourage it and they reward this kind of behavior. I'm not the most honest person. I've never claimed to be. But, relative honesty, I'd say, yeah, it's easier that way. It's not that I wanted to be, some, sparkling angel of a person. It's just easier. I'm lazy. It's just hard to remember lies. Just tell people, do your thing. It must be exhausting on that note to be a narcissist. It's got to take a lot of energy away from you. It has to shut you down in ways that most of us probably can't even comprehend. But they facilitate this kind of behavior, and they make it so that they limit your options. Where, again, I've always come to you with personal stuff on here because I don't really study the subjects and come to you with news stories or anything, or history or case histories, I guess. That a business that I've had for a long time it's been it's a victim of click fraud. That some of the larger companies, probably owned by BlackRock and probably owned by Vanguard somewhere, they exhaust your advertising budget to run you out of business, and they'll pick the 5-star businesses to do that, and I was one of them. And you can't 100% prove it. You have all the evidence, but what are you going to do? It's highly illegal. How are you going to catch them? So they're doing this to a lot of people. Then a lot of folks can't find jobs at all because the economy it's going down. It's going down in flames, and they know what they're doing. It's all by design. That's what sucks so bad. It's not just these people that just tell you, oh, it's just a market correction. And it's, this is, they show you all these facts, numbers and explanations and corrections, I guess what I said already. And none of it seems to have any real impact on what normal people are feeling. They have inserted themselves in every single aspect of our lives. I'm trying to think of one aspect that they have not inserted their dirty hands in to manipulate. Last time I mentioned healthcare, where you have some issue, then you have care, and it's called healthcare, and in between, there's all of these people who have added all of these extra steps that run prices up, run cost up of everything that that it makes things unaffordable. And so by the time you get from here to here, you don't even get what you're after to begin with. People are canceling their insurance because it doesn't do anything. It's just a way to extort money from the public. And they found ways to exploit every single aspect of our lives. This is the wider scope. This is what some folks were asking about. So much of the food, man, I'm watching some of these channels, and so much of the food is genetically modified to the point where animals won't even touch it. They won't even eat it. It just sits there and dries out, from, McDonald's or whatever, which I've never been a big fan of McDonald's, but, this, where it's just not food. It's been altered so much that it's not sustenance. It won't do anything for you. It'll make you hungry again. They've inserted themselves in education. They have rewritten history. You can't really trust anything if it's the accepted narrative, the official narrative, you can't trust it. From before World War II, a lot of what World War II was about, to 9/11, COVID. Oh, these are all the things that they don't like you to talk about. I'm just letting you know I'm one more person who doesn't believe your bullshit. And there's so many people that are saying this. Really, I guess my motivation for coming on here is to, I guess, just let others know that they're not crazy. I've been looking at this for a really long time, and I've been warning people about it for a really long time. And it's finally happening. The difference between around 2000, I think 99, 2000, the 2008 to 2010, these recessions, the 2020 issues that we had, is that and this is scary, I don't see it ever recovering. Not with the data centers, not with AI, not with the directions that things are going, and how they're pushing it in that direction with zero thought of the people that it's impacting. And it's impacting a lot of people very, very quickly. And they've gotten in the way of spiritual matters too. Someone was asking me on another comment, they would like to know my take on the spiritual matters. It is a spiritual matter. You have to have a damaged and dark, evil spirit to fleece entire countries and screw up what they have going on. I'm going to say something maybe unpopular to y'all. I'm a nationalist. I think that nations should be sovereign. That they should, if somebody's infiltrated your government, they need to be dealt with, and they need to be dealt with harshly. And right now, we're not a sovereign nation. I'm talking about people in the United States. This one world government, they don't want anyone to have their own, primacy. I'm not, I'm against supremacy of any kind, but I'm not against primacy of someone in their own country. Apparently that's something that's really frowned on now, is that, at least for people like me, that you can't have primacy in your own country, and that you're having to constantly tolerate. You've got to have tolerance of other people. When they hate your guts, they don't tolerate you. And we have completely conflicting ideals, ways of life. People are not compatible. Not everybody is compatible with everyone else. So the whole tolerance thing goes out the window when you're trying to deal with people who want to kill you. And I'm not overstating that. There are people who want you dead. It's a spiritual matter. Even back when I was still involved with the narco paths, the honest truth is I really just wanted them to like me. I really did. I really just wanted to be accepted. Never did. It was never part of the equation. I was never accepted. And what I got for them, for wanting them to accept me, is attempted murder. They wanted me dead. And the same thing's going on with these people that are currently in charge and who've inserted themselves into every goddamn thing that we have. And spirituality is one of them too. It is an entirely spiritual matter. At the core level, they destroy that too. They give you this fake, they rewrite documents and give you fake religions and fake fixes and stuff that doesn't work. They know it doesn't work, and by the time you figure out that it doesn't work, it's just too late anyway, which is kind of where we're at. We're in the too late phase if we don't figure it out. On the spiritual matters, there are some things. I haven't talked about them yet because some of it just sounds nuts to people. And again, I don't want to come on and sound like some crazy person, but nothing's permanent. Impermanence is the only thing that's permanent. That is one thing. If you want to consider and contemplate impermanence, even the people that are currently abusing entire populations, even those people, that doesn't last either. So impermanence is at least it's one way to contemplate it while you're sitting there without being able to pay your bills or find any decent sustenance to feed yourself with, is that none of this is permanent. And so you really don't want to attach yourself to anything. Detachment and impermanence. Considering that kind of relieves, at least in my mind, it relieves, maybe this is part of the solution, is it kind of relieves the pressure for a minute where, you can think of other things where if you consider the impermanence, if you can consider that nothing lasts forever and that they're not going to always be in charge, it seems to free up at least my mind on thinking of some other things. I know for one fact that what I'm going to do is, when I said, I'm going to try to checking out of society, I mean that, but I don't mean all at once, is to simplify things. There's a lot of stuff that we don't need. They talk you into things. Oh my God, I know you're not happy if you don't have this. You're not happy unless you have this vehicle. You're not happy if you don't have this thing, this restaurant, whatever. And they bombard you with it. We are, maybe you and I aren't, but a lot of people are easily manipulated into making purchases that they probably didn't even want to begin with. That's kind of a silver lining to all this, is when they crash economies like this, it's like they're not going to make any money either. That's a lot of that revenue and income stops for them anyway. But I think we can live on less. At least I know I can. To simplify things, we're really looking for a quality of life. It's like, okay, is your quality of life really dependent on the newest car, or is it dependent on those new houses, those junk houses, places that are getting sued all the time, like D.R. Horton? They build crap and they overcharge you for it, and they get you, in these lifelong mortgages that you can never get out of. Are these the things that really make you happy? Not really. Most of what these evil bastards are doing is illusion. A lot of it really is. And they don't have the power that even that they think they have. With a lot of us just checking out of it, what are they going to do? It has to happen, in a more concerted effort. More people have to go, I'm not going to buy your shit anymore. So they've gotten themselves involved in the food. They've gotten themselves involved in your housing. They've gotten themselves involved in your education. They've gotten themselves involved in your banking. There's a big one for you. Fractional reserve lending. Never talked about that on the channel before, have I? Yeah, that's a way to destroy a nation, sure. Again, it's one of those things where I'm smart enough to see but not smart enough to fix, so I don't know. In your banking, and then finally into your spiritual life, which is just evil at its core. To rearrange things and rearrange ideas to fit them, to fit their narrative. And so, yeah, we're in an issue. I think we're nearing an end of this, and I don't think it's going to be easy. I think it's going to start to go dark here pretty quick. God, I don't want to say those things to you because it sounds, the doom and gloom, but I think we need to be ready, and you need to be ready to live on less, and maybe without their influence, if you're living smaller and living simpler, you might be happier, and that's really all that counts anyway. I know. I like nice things too, but I'm to the point where I'd rather just dump it all. I'm just tired. I'm getting to the point I just can't deal with this either. So for those of you who have stuck around this long, this has been 8, almost 9 years of me having these discussions, and it's only a handful of people that are still around. I do appreciate it. I always do. And I look forward to the comments. So, but I'm not checking out all at once. You can't. You have to do, there's a middle way. You don't have to just, you don't have to be extreme. At least we don't have to be extreme yet. And, there's solutions to this. So one of them is that people are discussing this and waking each other up and, waking each other up and, letting them know that they're not crazy. I see the same thing you do. Millions of people now. So with that, I wish you health, happiness, security, prosperity, freedom from suffering, and that you live your lives with ease.